Hello, BookTube. I'm back. I lost the beard. Picked up a facial injury. It's a minor one though. So I was out on a walk. I do a lot of walking. I used to run, but I had that taken away from me. And I run into a briar. Some people might call them thorns or whatever. And what happened was I was walking, not really in a path. I spent a lot of time in the woods as much as possible. Walking along, it's been muddy. I slipped a bit. I seen the briar, tried to stop it. It come up, kind of stuck in my face. Pulled it out. Must have hit a vein perfectly because I kept on walking and just pitched the thorn down and felt something wet on my face, and it turned out to be blood. So. No big whoop. I wouldn't categorize it as a laceration because, that's a laceration. That's what happens when you don't want to punch your best friend at the time in the face, so you punch a window out. I know glass isn't hard to break, and it didn't do anything going through. It's when I pulled it back when it sliced it down to the bone. So there's your graphic description of an injury for the day. Now, on to some serious stuff. This is my top 5 historical fiction books, and this was suggested by Mindy over at Mindy's Book Journey. So thank you, Mindy. And a lot of my top 5s, if I do very many of them, are really going to be my top 5 books that I have access to. Now, as I mentioned before, I've loaned books out and people don't bring them back, but I put a stop to that. So, okay, top 5 books. Let's start at number 5. So, historical fiction books. The Terror by Dan Simmons. Some of you may or may not be familiar with this. It's about a ship. They get locked in the ice and a bunch of stuff happens. It really ties into the early exploring that was done around the early 1900s and stuff, and it's just an awesome book. Highly recommend that one. Number 4, and this one could actually be higher on my list, is Ken Follett, The Pillars of the Earth. It's about the building of a cathedral, which doesn't sound that exciting, but trust me, great character development, pretty good pace for a book this size, and that's another recommended reading right there. Obviously, if you hear anything, my wife's in the wasteland falling at 4, so if you hear any trash talking or gunfire, that's what's going on. The next book is The Blood Seed by Andrew Ward, and this book spans about I want to say 80 or 90 year time period, and it's been a while since I've read this. In fact, I'm trying to think of when this was written and how long I've had it. Well, copyright's 85. I read it some years after that. But it's about life in India under the British rule, and the bulk of the story is seen through the eyes of a young Indian man, and it's a pretty good book. Like I said, it's been around a while since I read it, but I would also recommend that one. And these two, actually I'm going to save that one for last. The next one is The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, which obviously the central theme of this book is the meat packing industry and all the shenanigans and the crap they were feeding people at the time around Chicago and what was probably distributed other places. But it deals a lot more with social hierarchy and what it's like to be working in a place where something's not being done right, but you really can't afford to ditch the job or spout off to your superiors and whatnot. So that's The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. And last is The Red Badge Courage, which I am actually reading for my rereadathon. That would be Michael over at Catalyst Reads, his rereadathon. And this is a great take on the Civil War, if there can be anything great about the Civil War in the United States. But it's just you'd have to read it. I mean, there's more to it than just warfare and stuff like that. It's a young man's journey through all that stuff, and how he deals with the pressure and the changes that go along with being in that situation. So that's it. That's my top 5 historical fiction books. Thank you, Mindy. I appreciate that suggestion. And everybody else, thanks for sticking around. Cheers. And I'll see you all later. Bye.